And thank you very much for joining us here on PM Express. This evening, we're having a conversation with the man of the moment. I don't know whether he likes me to call him that, but he's almost everywhere in the last 24 hours. Why? Because he is chasing down many big individuals, state agencies, private individuals, big and small, really, asking them to pay what they owe. One of the most important state institutions this country has. They are called the Electricity Company of Ghana, the ECG. You know them, and you know many of you owe. If you owe, you better pay, because it's coming after you. We're going to have a conversation with the Managing Director of the ECG, Samuel Mahama. Thank you very much for joining us on PM Express.
Thank you for having me.
So when I walked in here, one of the things I wanted to do was to test your statement that people have been asked to go out. So I went from the first floor and I started opening the doors. All the doors seemed to be locked. Like, where are these people? I saw the public relations department. It was locked. Like, you know, then I called him, because then I felt like the place has been deserted. Then I realized he has a own special office, you know, with the communications, department. Then he was there, but even his team was pretty small. Bottom line, all the doors were locked, including your door, because he had to come and set up in the office before you come, so we can just go straight to the interview. And your door was locked. Even your secretaries have gone out.
Everybody.
Why?
The truth of the matter is, I think we have reached a point where we've lost the moral right to sit in the office and hope that the money will come to us. The good people of Ghana gave us a mandate to give them reliable, sustainable power. They expect a certain quality of service from us. But it's reached a point where we also need to demand that we are paid what we are due, so we can deliver on the service that is required by the good people of Ghana. So it had gotten to the point where, looking at the debt that has accrued, I felt like, we are partly to be blamed. The buck fully stops, it falls right at our doorstep. So what do? We have to get up, go out there and collect. Because it's the blend of customers has almost 50% of it as postpaid and the other 50% as prepaid. If prepaid customers have to prepay to get what is due them, what's the excuse of the postpaid customer of saying you don't have a bill? But you are consuming, and you know you have received a bill before. So you can continue paying what's on the bill until your meter has been read, and then what? The reconciliations are done, then we can move forward from there. And for those who have said, I have never received a bill before, wow, that means you are still consuming. So are you waiting till the day we come and then the bill is so huge and then you go, oh, as for me, this is what I can pay? No. That means if we allow you that way, you are going to continue accruing more debt. So you have to come off the service, regularize, pay off your old debt before you can start consuming.
Well, that was my story. This is a true story. I mean, I moved into my new place, and they gave me a meter. Initially, they gave me a postpaid meter, and I thought, I use postpaid meter all my life. I think that's good. But then they were estimating me for a while, and then realized that they stopped coming. And 2 months, nobody had come. 3 months, nobody had come. And then I called my friend, the manager. Oh, come. 6 months, a year, nobody comes. Then I got upset. Then I called, because I was afraid the day the bill comes,
it will be over the moon.
And true to my word, the bill came, because I was like, now I want a prepaid meter.
Because the truth of the matter is, your taste also determines your consumption.
Yeah.
The more you make, the different gadgets you buy.
Absolutely.
The more you start fixing things in your home so as that is also happening, your consumption is going up.
So eventually, after a year, they give me a bill of 10,000 cedis.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. This was like, 3 years ago. You know, I didn't argue.
Yeah.
I just went, because I just wanted to get off my hands. Went and paid, because they said if they didn't give me the prepaid and I don't pay up, it still won't work.
Yeah.
So I went to pay, cleared it up.
They would have loaded your debt onto the prepaid.
Exactly, and peace of mind since.
Yeah.
You know, so but I realized that even your secretaries have gone out and they have come. They're looking sweaty. Even yourself, you were out today.
Look.
How much have you collected since?
Yesterday was very, 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 very good. I do not want to speculate on numbers because some of the banks are still processing checks. So I don't want to speculate on numbers.
But at least we know yesterday GBC Parliament, between those three, GBC Parliament and I think there was one more institution,
I can say
collected more than 8 million. Airports company.
I can say I can say for a fact that yesterday's total revenue was a little in excess of almost what we've seen that we are still waiting for checks. I think we are slightly above 50 million for one day.
15 or 50?
50.
Wow. That's a lot in one day.
Yeah.
Normally, how long would it... Because I know you monitor this on a daily basis.
I don't want to talk about my past. I know you're going to ask me normally,
no,
what do I get? What do I get in the past?
I want to put it in context so that people appreciate how significant this is, although it scratched the surface. If that 50 million, normally, how long would it have taken you to collect that?
Let's just say right now, with the kind of system that we have, which has digitalized our payment from end to end, and we see the money in real time because of the RTGS, there are no delays in what we see. You understand? So with that, clearly, if from the statistics I had from when I was on the board to when I became MD, you have a company averaging between 450 to 550 million a month, which relatively, sometimes when you have some months that stretches into and gives you another fifth week, then you get like about almost close to 600 million. Okay. But now, if before this, we had seen a little spike in revenue, when the digitalization process was a bit stagnant because you have to migrate, wait small. So we got some very good percentage increments around 20 to 25. Our entire expectation is to move or double that number. But with what we are seeing now and what we are seeing coming in, it means relatively this company should be doing very, very well if everybody were to be paying what they were supposed to pay. Because let's not forget, what the new system has also allowed us to see is to have statistics. See the company's growth, see when it dips, why it dipped, the reason, all of those things. Now, from what we see, for every 10 customers, 5 of them are postpaid, the other 5 are prepaid. With the 5 prepaid, 3 of them are legit. They haven't tampered with their meter. 2 have tampered with their meter.
I see.
So they are not paying what they are supposed to be paying. They are on the same... You one person, tariff goes up.
So every 5 postpaid customer...
5 prepaid.
Prepaid, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just looking at the other side. For every 5 postpaid customer, 2 of them are illegitimate consumers of your
They are consumers, all right. They are on my record, but they are not paying the right tariff because they've either bypassed the meter or they've tampered with the meter. Let's not forget, we've discovered places where when the person was even building their house, he had planned. So he's built the bypass in the wall. Yeah. So those things are so difficult to see with the naked eye. But very soon after we meter all the distribution transformers, we will know how much power has been put into a specific transformer within an area. So now we have to compare it to each meter. And that will be done by an algorithm by the system. So we will know which houses to speak to. So because tariff cannot go up, and then you ever says it's the same 300 that you are buying. So you never go up. Tariff has been increased 300 cities. You see, now we have data. So now we are collating all of that. I'll just entreat the good people of Ghana to do the right thing. We all don't want to be embarrassed. We all want to make sure we are paying for the right service. So when we are demanding quality service, we as ECG would not have any moral right not to give you the quality service.
How many places have you visited yourself?
Myself, yesterday was a whole lot of media rounds for me. Today I did about 4 of them.
In Accra?
In Accra.
Okay. And, which places are those?
I visited 2 companies. I don't want to mention names. I visited 2 companies. I visited 1 church to assist with some conversations concerning that. And then 1 residential.
Okay. And all of them made payment on the spot?
All of them made payments on the spot. 1 of them, we had to discuss something, to discuss averages that the person has to pay because of how his system was set up.
Have you disconnected anybody yet?
The team has. Okay. The teams. I went out with I didn't go out with a disconnector, so I couldn't disconnect. But I did get what I was looking for.
Okay, that's in the money.
Yes, but all those they're all out there. Look, they are not playing. They are not playing, and that's the thing. As I said on radio, please, these phone calls should stop.
Are you receiving phone calls?
Some have come through. I haven't acted on them, and let me take this opportunity to say, I'm not being disrespectful. I don't want to disrespect anybody. I am just trying to level the status quo. Let's let everybody feel and know that this company belongs to all of us. You have a mandate. We have a mandate. How do we pay the independent power producers? How do we pay Gridco? How do we pay VRA? It's a shared responsibility. So please, let's just do the right thing. Because I don't even have the moral right after sending somebody out of the office to pick up the phone and call him and say, hey, you know, can you cut X, Y, and Z slack? No. Then what's the moral of the exercise?
I mean, the calls that have come in, are these friends or power brokers or politicians?
It cuts across. It cuts across. It cuts across.
And they want you to do what? Just...
Oh, can you hold off? Can you... hold off as to what?
The biggest problem in the past has been when political calls come. Because those ones, the argument is always, you are possibly trying to kill our base. Somebody else in the government who tried that, the Greater Regional Minister, complained publicly when he was sacking people off the street that his own party came after him very hard. Maybe you haven't had that yet, and so you are saying, oh, I don't want to respect you.
So before we went on this, what I decided to do was to give a few courtesy phone calls, speak to a few people that I feel matter, and so that the information will cascade down. So that was how I started it. And to be very honest, it's mostly not political calls that I get about destroying party power base. But forgive me, I don't see myself as doing politics. Understand? I see myself now as a technocrat. If the biggest mistake we could ever do is to politicize the work done from this office. So for me, your electricity bill doesn't have a party color. Your electricity bill is red, gold, green with a black star in the middle. That's your electricity bill. So believe you me, as I said, the status quo balance straight out. I know a few people will feel slighted. It's not our intention to disrespect anybody or embarrass anybody. I just believe we have a mandate and we should carry it out.
I hope nobody's threatened you.
Oh, honestly, I don't look at things even from that perspective. You know, sometimes when things happen, people are sad. People are anxious. So maybe, but for whatever it's worth, we would learn to understand each other.
Have you been threatened?
I would not ever call anything a threat. I would say conversations are always being had around. You understand? So we would keep on having conversations here and there, but in all fairness, I think everything is calm and we are moving forward.
Let's talk about sustainability, and I cite one example, the airports company.
Yeah.
I remember very well last year, it was big news when you disconnected the airports company. It was big news. And then they made payments, and then they committed to pay. And then obviously media stopped paying attention to it. I don't know what ECG did. But the fact that you returned there yesterday and Leila led the team, is proof that you didn't follow through.
The truth of the matter is at a certain point, you expect everybody to take up their responsibilities because you don't want to be going there all the time. But it has come to our notice that moving forward, this exercise has to be sustained.
How?
So we are looking at a formula where hopefully the last week of every month, ECG is administrative staff and everybody joins in. Because what's our mandate here? Sell reliable power and collect the money. Collections are down. So if we don't go out there to collect, what are our moral rights in here? In the case of airport company, we came up with a lot of understanding. Today I even had a phone call with the MD, who she wasn't happy about what happened. I could understand and I could relate. But in the end, there are some structures have been put in place that they are going to be paying. They put us on a proper structure which will allow them to clear the old debt and tackle the new debt. You see, when you have debt accrued and you ask for a payment plan, in the eyes of ECG, the payment plan is for the old debt. It doesn't take care of your present debt moving forward. So when we do that with you, we are expecting that as much as you are servicing the old one, you should be making sure that you are current on your current bills. You understand? So that is what we want every customer to move to now. So in the case of Ghana Airport, I can say now we have a working understanding that is going to be enforced, because now we have people that are going to be dedicated to this kind of service to make sure that these big customers are given the courtesy they deserve, and they can depend on the power coming from our establishment. So we have come to an understanding with them, and we would make sure that at the last week of every month in this company would be dubbed revenue mobilization.
Last week of every month?
Yeah, because that's when you receive your paycheck. You see, the truth of the matter is...
For the rest of time?
Yeah, for the foreseeable time. I think it's a very great innovation, because, look, you receive your paycheck at the end of the month.
I do.
You enjoy electricity.
Yes.
When you run out of credits on your phone or talk time on your phone,
I will reload.
Aha! But the prepaid customer, when they run out, what do? They don't
have a choice.
They have to reload. Yes. So what's the moral right of the person who's on the postpaid meter, who is also supposed to equally contribute this, say his quota to the energy sector? So and let's not think that this exercise or moving forward is tailored for postpaid. No. It's also to inspect illegal connections in terms of what? Prepaid meters. So every house, we need to know one thing. In as much as you paid an exorbitant amount through a middleman for a meter, the meter, you didn't buy it. The meter doesn't belong to you. You see, the meter is written property of the electricity. This is not for sale. We are to visit that meter. The law gives us the permission. If we don't get access to it, we are to disconnect service. Because we need to see the meter, check its health, make sure it is doing the right thing, so we don't cheat you, and you also don't cheat us. So those who try to hide behind, I have wild dogs, and please, let's be reasonable. We are in the 21st century. You've asked for a service. We need to do the right thing and come and see the meters, and then make sure that we are doing right by you as a customer. So it's a shared responsibility. The company belongs to all of us. It doesn't belong to me alone or even to you. It belongs to the whole nation. And if it goes down, we all go down together. So we have to contribute our quota.
But this particular operation, it's a month long.
It's a month long.
And then thereafter, you kick in the last week of every month that will go after.
Yeah.
The Energy Ministry, have they paid up?
Energy Ministry, we don't have a problem with the Energy Ministry.
But I realized that they have prepaid.
They have a prepaid. So that's why I said there was a discrepancy. There was a conversation, and that problem has been solved. And the right things that have to be paid have been paid. You see, with the prepaid, most customers have tariff issues. You get what I mean? And when you have a tariff issue, maybe your meter doesn't synchronize properly, or maybe I'm just using this opportunity. I'm not saying that's what happened in their case. But I guess sometimes some people say, I went to buy credits. When I loaded the meter, what happened? I didn't get power. It swallowed everything. It's because it's a smart meter. When it doesn't have network, it's doing the calculation, but it's not speaking back to its system. So the moment, it goes to sleep. The moment you buy power, you bring it back to life. So what it has to do is to immediately do the calculations and then what? Send it out. So as soon as that happens, then, you keep hearing that it just swallowed everything. It's because when the meter realizes its own inefficiency, it goes into a postpaid mode so that the customer doesn't bear the brunt of their meter's inefficiency. But when it comes back to life, when it wakes up, it has to do the right thing. It's a machine. So the moment it does that, then we have that problem. And then also, in the case of the customers, when we adjust the tariff, it also does that. So at the moment we adjust, it doesn't affect the crossover between your new purchase and your old purchase is always affected. That's why sometimes you go and buy 500 and all of a sudden 300 is gone. It's because the tariff has been adjusted and the meter must do the necessary adjustments accordingly. So we just have to bear with it. There are machines that we use. The education on these things haven't been done to its fullest. They've been done to the far reaching, but we are going to do our best to make sure that the education goes way beyond that, so that we can have a robust system and everybody can enjoy the quality power supply.
I'm going to take a break here on PM Express. When I return, there are many more issues for the MD to address. Of course, they are collecting revenue, but what about dealing with efficiency within the ECG, which contributes significantly to the losses that they experience? It's not only about people not paying, but it's about ECG fixing its own internal affairs to bring about efficiency, then make sure that the ECG is being efficient and producing at a cost-effective way. We'll talk about that when we return. Stay with me. And thank you very much for staying with us. You're still live on PM Express. We are talking to the Managing Director of the Electricity Company of Ghana, Samuel Mahama. And we talked a lot in the first part of this conversation about your revenue mobilization war. That's how I'm calling it. But the reality is, even if you fix that problem, you will still have challenges in raising enough revenue to plug your holes, your dead hole, if you don't deal with your own inefficiencies internally. So let's deal with that. While you're doing this, last year, the Energy Minister gave us records of your technical losses. And I was surprised to hear him talk about the fact that in 2021, 1.8 billion cedis lost to technical losses. The year before, it was lower at 1.4 billion. That clearly is a big problem of your own doing.
Yeah. But you see, again, when I started talking, I said technical losses come about when people, let's say, the system goes off. So when the system goes off, you are not selling. So when you are not selling, when you add up all that, it racks up that bill. Now, why is that a problem? It is a problem because when you first bought your house, or when you first had, let's say, your apartment, you probably had just 3 or 4 gadgets. Not so.
Yeah.
It was even only your house in that area.
Yeah.
So you had a 200 kVA distribution transformer. Now, within a twinkle of an eye, even just because of you moving to that area, a lot of people have come in.
Yeah.
Now, when they were coming in, some have joined that distribution transformer through ECG. Others have joined through an electrician without no recourse to ECG. Now, everybody keeps adding gadgets in their homes without not even telling the distributor that, oh, the load is going up. So now, the moment there's everybody at home and everybody is drawing from the transformer, what then happens? There's an overload. And then with the overload, the power keeps tripping. There's low voltage. Consumption gets bad. These are some of the technical problems that we have to face. Now, we have to change the transformer to intensify the whole area to make sure that we bring you back to your service level and then you continue paying. Let me say this here. We have a lot of generation capacity in Ghana now. Ghana is selling power now to the Ivory Coast, to the Burkina Faso, and even Togo. So as for generation capacity, we don't have a problem. Where we have a problem now is in intensification. These intensification jobs are all capital intensive. Without the money, it will be very, very difficult to replace all of these transformers. Let's say, for argument's sake, we even want to be efficient. Maybe we can decide that in all the urban areas, all the big top urban areas, we are moving from 200 kVA generators to 312 kVAs. You understand? And then we'll take all the 200 outside for expansions. It involves money. We have to purchase. So all of this, if we don't go out there to collect the money, how do we run these exercises? There are customers, there are engineering firms, contractors that we owe. We have to pay all of them to be able to utilize them in these exercises.
But how is that related to your system, your technical losses?
So that's what I'm explaining, that if the system goes off, the calculation of the system losses is that when the system has gone off, you are not purchasing.
Yeah.
So that frame within which you've not purchased is what adds up to what? The loss. Because if the power were up and it was good, that 1 point whatever billion, we would have received it in revenue. You understand? Now comes the portion of faulty meters. Okay, so that's one side. Now the second part is the faulty meters, or meters not reading properly, or people bypassing the meters. These are all technical what? Losses. So if you have decided not to pay the proper tariff by bypassing, putting half your load on the meter and the other half off the meter, it's a technical loss because we don't even see it to calculate it. You get what I mean? Then you bring it to the other portion where the person's meter hasn't worked for a very long time. It's been off. We've not been able to replace it. So that's also another loss that we can calculate from generation and transmission, but we can't calculate from the end user. So that also adds up to it. But in truth, some of the technical losses as a company, with the help of our customers, we can fix them. In light of this, ECG has started something that we call the loss reduction program.
Okay.
The loss reduction program kicked off in the Accra East region in the Legon district. We have one of the locally manufactured metering companies, it's a local manufacturer, supplying meters to ECG within that enclave. Very soon, as the business starts to move, because with everything, it's a gradual process and you have to attach some processes to it. The first ones that they are supposed to service now are new service connections, provide meters for new service connections. The second one is to replace all faulty meters, and then also to try and take out some of the postpaid meters within these areas and replace them with what? Prepaid meters. They are still going, they are ramping up with production. We need to have a service level agreement with them so that whatever faulty meter they give us, they are on the ground to replace. We want to move away from the place where meters are just dumped on the company with nobody, identifiable person to speak to whenever there's an issue. All of these things have led to a lot of problems now that we are trying to solve. So with this new loss reduction program, our intention is to make sure that each metering company will be assigned to a specific region or more, depending on everybody's performance, so that in the long run, this whole conversation of meter shortage will be non-existent anymore. We need to make sure that meter is something that's readily available.
What about the other aspect of technical losses attributed to your equipment, just not, a lot of them being obsolete and not giving you efficiency percentages that would help you?
That is also true, but you have to replace those with money. It's money that if the system is not working right or the equipment is not performing, you have to buy a new one, or you have to buy something that is of a higher quality or a higher grade. How do you do that without the requisite, funds? So that's why we are saying we have over $500 million out there that we are not collecting. So guess what? We are coming to collect. So please pay up. That's the whole conversation.
In terms of, so what's the target? I was reading before this.
100%.
Obviously, nothing can be 100% efficient. I'm looking at your technical losses percentage of your revenue. I was reading is around 30%.
Yeah.
And the regulator expected to be doing around 23%.
Yeah.
So what is your target to reducing that down?
So what you're talking about is all our losses in totality.
In totality.
Because they have technical losses, commercial losses, and under commercial losses, we have administrative losses, and administrative and collection losses come together to make commercial losses.
Yeah.
So with that one, we are hoping to see a drastic reduction because we are digitalized from end to end. So with the commercial and administrative, we are hoping to see some very, very, very huge drastic loss in that. But then the technical side would demand a lot of equipment and all of that. One being able to meter all the distribution transformers. Two, would also be able to know the true customer numbers of ECG, because we believe strongly.
You still don't? No?
We don't. We have a fair idea, but we don't know the
because of a lot of the illegal connections.
Because of the illegal connections, and at some point, some people walking around having meters that they call political meters.
Are those still in the system? I thought those were.
They are still in the system, because how they were given the meters, they were not captured by ECG. They have the meters, but they are not on our books with the requisite accounts and account numbers and all of that. We just finished an exercise in Kwabenya, where we identified some customers that are not in our records. We've regularized them. We are doing the same in Adenta now. We are training staff in Kumasi to start in the Ashanti region. So we are just going to start that full blast to make sure that we have the right numbers. I would encourage everybody to help so we get the right numbers, because believe you me, with the right numbers, we can get a reduction in tariff.
I mean, so obviously, I've heard you also talk about those who don't pay. There'll be prosecutions.
Yes.
Back in this operation.
Yes.
I mean, we've had a lot of talk around that. But I never see ECG leading the charge or actually prosecute institutions. You go and have a conversation, they say pay, and then you give them a plan. Sometimes they don't pay. Nothing happens. There's no consequence apart from, a lot of talk. So how are you backing this latest?
So you see, from what you're saying, is like in Ivory Coast, illegal connections is a criminal offense.
Yeah, I thought it is in Ghana as well.
It's not a criminal offense in Ghana.
It is? To steal power?
No, they call it a bypass. In Ghana,
power theft is not a crime.
No, so now we are making it a crime.
How?
Because it's stealing.
Yeah, but if it's not a crime by law, unless you are amending legally, the law.
I'm not amending the law, but I'm charging you with stealing. What is stealing?
Yeah, but
let's not turn this into a law class.
I get it.
But what is stealing?
Stealing is a crime.
Yeah. So when you took the power, did you have any intentions of bringing the power back?
Of course not.
Aha. So
my point is that I'm just following on from the point that it is not a crime in Ghana. It has been all along. It's about how you interpreted the law.
Yeah,
but now you are interpreting.
But the thing is, the law also says for whatever is a crime, the requisite punishment should be attached.
But once you say theft, then it's a crime, which with the prescribed.
But the prescribed plan for the punishment for the power bypass is a slap on the wrist. So
pay a fine.
Yeah, some penalties. But now, with the Chief Justice helping us with the utility court, which will be sitting on Saturdays.
Has it started?
Yeah, we are piling up the dockets now.
Okay.
This exercise, so what we just decided to do was to forgive and start afresh.
Okay.
You understand? Because you don't want stories, this happened, that happened. So we're forgiving. This exercise will build the docket to go forward.
So the next 1 month, what you started in the last 24 hours, you're building dockets on those who have stolen power. Yeah. And I'm using that because you said that's what we should be using now.
We'll be charging you
not
with stealing. No. Why should we use bypass? When you bypassed it, where did the thing go? When you bypass something, you should have been collecting it somewhere to return it. Not so. But the person has stolen. You have consumed it with no intentions of paying back. You've stolen. And
this will go to the AG.
Yes,
and then that will be
there's a station prosecutor at ECG. Do you know that?
Since when?
Yeah. Since time immemorial.
I see.
ECG has a prosecutor.
And people have been getting away with this
I said ECG has a prosecutor. See,
has he even ever prosecuted one case?
Yes, he has. There are a few of them. It's just that some of them do not come into the public. Yes, he's a seasoned state attorney. He was with Attorney General's department and then he came here. He's a seasoned a very good lawyer at that.
I see.
But now is the point where you have to resource the person to bite. So that's where we've gotten to as a company, because we've realized that everybody has decided to take us for a run.
In other words, in the next one, we are gathering evidence to prosecute people in the, what do you call the court?
The utility court.
The utility court.
Yeah, Ghana Water also has access to that utility court. So it's for the utilities.
But you are elevating this to theft.
Is it not?
And my question is, that is a crime that you can go to jail for.
Of course.
For a long time.
Yes.
And you want to put people in jail for stealing power.
So you don't want me to?
No, it's a question.
If you tell me I shouldn't, I'll tell the good people of Ghana. Evans just said.
No, I mean, I'm just questioning that. I mean, I'm asking
questioning what, the morality behind it?
Not the morality. That's the Attorney General agree with you that we should elevate.
Does he have to agree with you?
No, it's about whether he agrees with your interpretation. I agree with you that when you steal power, right?
You turn this into a law class.
No, I'm just asking a question.
You know, sometimes punishment is to deter.
True.
So whoever the judge is would decide whether the full powers or full punishment of stealing should be visited on you for stealing power, or whether they'll slap you with a huge fine.
So I get what you're saying.
But you see, within that whole period, you can absolve yourself if you come and pay.
You just want the money.
I'm not saying that, before people start thinking that, oh, and it's when I pay, look, we need to take things seriously in this country.
Okay.
One of our biggest problems is enforcement. We do not enforce things, so it just becomes a slap on the wrist. Oh, don't do that again. Oh, next week. Oh, next time. You understand? But now we are getting to a point where the way things are going, we need to sit up. We need to show a different trend to the next generation. It's about what we are leaving behind. If we do not do the right thing and we kill the energy sector, what would the next generation do? The energy sector is in debt. Huge. About 1.something billion. Oh.
Yes.
$500 million is here.
That's true. So I hear you say, when you go to utilities court, ECG is going to be demanding the full penalty for stealing, for those who you found, those whose evidence you've gathered in the next 1 month.
Yeah.
Okay. That part of this hasn't elevated to the surface in terms of the conversations since yesterday.
Yeah.
We only heard your revenue collected.
Yeah.
But you were saying, as part of this exercise, it's actually an exercise in collecting evidence in the docket for prosecution.
Yes. Because right now, the thing is this. You've consumed. Why are you not paying? Why have you bypassed the meter? Why have you tampered with the meter? You know, let's be fair. We put so much responsibility on state institutions and government for that matter. We are demanding from them every single minute we have the opportunity. But now let's ask ourselves as citizens, when it's time for us to do what we have to do we do it? Just a few can hit their chest and say, oh, I do this diligently, or I do that diligently. But now it's also time. I mean,
this is bold. I know you've talked about individuals, but you also intend to prosecute the institutions?
Yes. Companies. Look, the SLTs.
What would these people say? But this is talk.
No, they will say
in this
talk.
country.
So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. The beautiful thing about people saying it's talk is being able to show them that, oh, really? You know, you are an SLT, a special low tariff customer. Electricity is a line item on your budget. Why haven't you paid?
Because they think they can get away with it, possibly.
And also because I didn't come for it. That's a very, very, very poor excuse. If because you didn't come, I've used it for something else. Wow, really?
Let me ask you something that's linked to this. The IPPs.
Yeah.
How much you still owe them?
Last I checked, it's in excess of about $1 billion in debts to IPPs.
If you divide the IMF money we are hoping for into 3, that's one part of that. of that.
Based on your analysis, what I would say is, then what is our moral right if we can find $500 million here? You understand?
You may
so in effect, it turns back to us again as citizens.
Owes IPP almost $1 billion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. In fact, it's true. As of September, it was $996 million. Yeah. Which has possibly have grown by
and
now.
We have $500 million here.
In this
Ghana now. In this Ghana now, we have $500 million that we are not collecting.
Clear half of that amount you owe them.
Yeah. Because what would be our moral right if government goes to collect this money right now and says, you use your money, you haven't collected it. With the other places we need to. We look, it's a shared responsibility.
So the IPPs have every right to cut power to our homes today.
Yes.
And you have no reason to complain.
Yeah, but it's just contractual. That's why they won't do that. But that was why we always have to have dialogue and all of that. But they also understand that we are going through a phase that we are changing our business model. We are going through a phase where we have accepted that we cannot be doing things the way we were doing them and expecting a different result. It's rather now the time that we have to fold our sleeves and put our back into it. So now they're also part of what we are doing. They see what we are doing, and we are all ready to move forward. So there's always been roundtable conversations with them, and I think we are actually at a good place.
Okay.
With the IPPs, there's an understanding.
You're giving people payment plans.
Yeah.
Have they given you a payment plan?
Yes. But we are even on the cash waterfall mechanism that you know.
Yes, true.
So whatever revenue we receive is shared by a certain formula
it's
with
shared,
them.
But you still owe them $1 billion. I mean,
yes.
You're not clearing that quickly enough.
But there's a portion where government, Ministry of Finance also does its best to pay some monies to the independent power producers at certain intervals, regular intervals.
So for what you owe them, what's the plan to pay the $1 billion?
For what we owe them, Our main aim is to make sure that we get to apples on what is out there. Let's not forget, we buy the power in dollars, we sell it in cedis. So off the bat, if the PRC exchange rate is not what the interbank rate is, or the black market rate is deep, it's going to be difficult. Government always has been nice to the good people of Ghana. The good people of Ghana never pay the full rate of the utility they consume, because the average forex rate used by PURC is always not what the market rate is. So in that regard, we've already lost, but we want to make sure that our collections are very good, so that if the losses are forex related, it's understandable. Government is covering what? A forex loss conversation. But if you're not collecting well, how do you talk about poor collections and forex at the center? That's like a double problem. But you need, if one problem can be humanly solved, solve that, and let the other one that has to do with policy take his own.
When do you hope to clear a bit of that IPP debt? Because you're hopefully collecting 500 million, I think is what you said.
Yeah.
So when do you hope that you could make some significant dent into that 1 billion?
With all of these collections, if the collections are very good, if the collections in total are very good, let's not forget, they are not even expecting you to pay everything off. The main problem is about liquidity for all of them, to cover operations and all of that. So if our collections go up, and we are paying them reasonable amount of money every month, I'm sure everybody will be comfortable.
So what's your projection? I'm sure I've seen you play a lot with the numbers. What's your projection in terms of trying to give them something so they can also survive and keep our lights on?
We want to do our best to move this sector to a point where at the end of every week, the IPP should be expecting some very huge amount of money between the range of 40 to 50 million cedis a week.
Cedis?
Yeah.
That's a single drop.
But that one you're hoping for Forex to drop. But because you collect in cedis. No matter what you do, you collect in cedis. If we were collecting the commensurate to dollar, we'll be talking about it in dollar terms.
And that brings up the old conversation about tariffs and whether it reflects the reality.
Exactly.
And we'll talk about a bit of that, because I know it's important to the ECG to survive. They are collecting, they're dealing with their technical losses, then they have to balance that with tariff as well. Because if the tariff is good, he'll be smiling. Then, he can collect, and then he can go and pay his IPP. So we'll talk about that when we return. Stay with me here on PM Express. Thank you for staying with us. A conversation with the Managing Director of the ECG. A lot we've talked about. Let's talk about tariffs. And remember that all these conversations around ECG being efficient in all aspects, aspects of collecting their revenues, also fixing their technical challenges, but also there's a part that doesn't really lie in your purview. But if that is fixed, it adds to the ability for ECD to be efficient in terms of running, updating the machines that will give it closer to 100% efficiency. And so tariff comes up very strongly. You recently got another hike, increase in the tariff. How has it been since the last time the tariff gone up? I think since the last quarter of last year till this year, you've had 2 increases, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Okay. Has it been good for your pocket?
For now, I'll say yes. Okay. It's been good. And it's through all of that we've decided to vigorously increase our efforts to decreasing our commercial losses. Okay. The commercial losses is what will not make you see your tariff increment, or will not make you benefit from the tariff increment. If you're collecting well, you would see all what is due you, and then what you can actually enjoy it. But another reason why we are not seeing it properly is also what I was telling you about the true customer numbers. Yeah. If we can really and properly ascertain the true numbers of those drawing from the grid, we should be able to know if the number is more than we think. That means technically the tariff must come down. If the number is less, then that means it will go up.
You make a very important point, that if you actually get this right, the tariff increases, you don't even need as much increase to get what you need to operate.
Exactly, because right now the assumptions are solely based on about 4.5 million customers.
But that could be double that.
If it is double that, good for everybody. Yeah. So that exercise about knowing your customer and making sure the customer numbers are right is very, very important.
And that comes down to the quality of meters that you have.
Exactly.
And then it begs the question, what is the drive to replace all these 50% of the meters in the system that are postpaid to prepaid?
So that, when government thought about this whole prepaid process, government was hoping to have some huge cash to give to the company to just knock it out of the ballpark. But clearly now that's not the phase we are in. So we need to find a way to quickly, internally, generate the requisite revenue, have the requisite agreements with these meter companies to have a full rollout and then pay the money over a period of time. But that being said, I wouldn't sit down and say postpaid meters are bad. Postpaid meters are good, but it's about how to sustain a postpaid meter because it has to be read constantly. So because as it is right now, we are not being efficient towards that. We have about 2.5 million postpaid meters and just 800 meter readers. If you do the math, you know that a meter to a meter reader, the number of meters to a meter reader is way, way over the top. So we need to find a way to close that gap quickly while we try and ease these meters out. So if it is either all those on postpaid do their best to pay something on account, or we try and have private sector assist to read the meters, because the more the meters are being read, the more the revenue comes in because you can bill. And the more you bill, you should be able to collect. So it's a cycle that if you're able to put in place and roll it very carefully, you should be seeing some very, very, very important
What's the ultimate goal?
figures.
Is it your ultimate goal that one day you have 100% meters or close to that on prepaid?
Hopefully, because that's the national policy.
That's a national policy.
So if that's not going to happen soon, we need to find a way to integrate all of these meters into a platform where if we can get components that can allow us to read postpaid meters remotely, we should be able to look at the market. We've spoken to a few companies that do that. They will come and let us see how the system works. A few of them have come in, local boys that have those things. They've been working with us as part of our consortium, IT consortium companies that are helping ECG to change its digital processes. So we are looking at them and we are having conversations along those lines to be able to give a very...
Finally on that, I mean, the big defaulters perennially have been the state institutions. And I know there was a time where the policy was to give them the prepaid meters, the parliament and etc. Those ones that are not critical, leave the hospitals to so operate on postpaid. Give them the prepaid meters so you don't have to go and chase them. What are you in implementing that?
So most of the non-critical state institutions are on prepaid. So the ones that are not on prepaid must be considered something along the lines of an SLT because of how they consume. The prepaid meters are not sophisticated to a certain level to accept some kind of load. Okay. You have to use a postpaid meter. So all of those that can accept the prepaid immediately, like some of the MMDAs and MMDs, the DCs, the MC, district assemblies, have got their prepaids. Some of the institutions are even on bulk supply, like the Burma camps and all of those things. They are on bulk supply meters, so their conversations are different. But we would have to take care before we migrate some of the rest onto this prepaid. And I can tell you that conversations are far advanced on the next phase of that. But quite a chunk of them are on prepaid meters.
Let's talk about PDS. I mean, this was reported, I believe, a couple of years back in 2021, to be very precise, that they exited, but they owed you around $200 million CDs, I believe, in their accounts that they had not transferred to you. Has that been transferred?
I would not say they owed us. They were running the company, so there was money in their accounts that they have to send back to us. No, the accounts are frozen because this whole PDS is a subject or matter of our court proceedings. We are in court. We are in arbitration now in London. In London, and so the lawyers are still waiting and working. Papers are flying back and forth. They filed a claim. ECG also filed this claim and also filed a counterclaim. At the right time, we will make the claims known to everybody, and then the lawyers are doing their thing now. I think the hearing should be somewhere in September. So we are on course.
In the meantime, that money is frozen.
The money is frozen. There's nothing we can do about it until I think. Look, the matter is a subject of a court case, so I don't really want to comment about it for now. Let's just, we are surviving.
There's someone who suggests that you possibly should pursue a settlement out of court because you need that money, even if you get part of it. Is that something that ECG has thought about, a settlement?
It will be very difficult to talk about a settlement because me talking about a settlement right now, we're trying to delve into the law. You understand? Yeah. And I really want to hold myself back and not speak to that and just allow for the process to take its course. And then at the end, we all agree on what is right for the state, who was right, who was wrong, and then we can go forward from there.
Let's not forget, talk about revenue. You recently increased the quota purchase for your vendors.
I was hoping you forget.
No, I mean, I haven't, because since you're talking about revenue, they are those who help you, sell. And they were not happy. You increased, I think, for 5,000 CDs to 20,000 CDs. Yes. Where are you in resolving that?
So we are still at the 20,000.
You're not coming down?
No, we can't come down now.
Okay.
Because policy-wise, quota is a bulk purchaser. We have customers that buy 5,000 in a day.
True.
So if you're a bulk purchaser, is 5,000 bulk?
No.
That's the main question we need to ask ourselves. Is 5,000 bulk? 20,000 looks more bulky. Now, at 5,000, they were hitting the ECG network about 10, 15 times in a day. So you use the app. When the app is slow or we have network problems here, the traffic on the network must reduce. So, and as much as we wanted to actually expand the idea on bulk, we also wanted to find a way to ease pressure internally on our network so that those who have to come onto the network for other reasons can have a better experience on the ECG network. Our conversations are far advanced for a super vending system where those people will still be allowed, but they would not be the responsibility of ECG.
Those who still want to buy 5,000.
They will not be at the mercy of ECG, but more so somebody else who has already prepaid a huge sum and wants to deal with them at that level. So that conversation is.
But there has been resistance from the vendors.
Yes.
Have you had a conversation with them? Have they now settled, agreed that they'll play ball?
We had a meeting, and we were supposed to implement on the 1st of March. I waited almost about a week or so before we implemented, but they then still came back with their problems. It was in the media. But you see, now we are at the point where I don't take your word for what it's worth. You came in, you saw the dashboard.
Yeah.
We deal with data and then analytics now. Yes, it will affect some 1%, 2%, or 3%. But because of the 2 or 3% of an association, the good people of Ghana should suffer. At some point, when you're given a leadership role, you have to take certain decisions with your board, but you also have to try and put a human face to it. They should just bear with us. We are doing what we can do to finish the super vending conversation.
So when will this new quota system?
We are hoping that by next month, the processes, April, we should have some good processes.
So you can only buy bulk at 20,000 from then.
Because listen, right now you are buying 20,000 from ECG at 2.5% commission. If somebody comes in and is buying 100,000, I cannot give him the same 2.5% commission, or 1 million, or 2 million, or 10 million. I should be looking at increasing his commissions because of time value of money. This person has decided to prepay me to come and deal with you for whichever period. So all of that, you have to do a proper analysis and then build a module to see how it works so that you can attach. So it's not that easy that they are hoping that we'll get over it by overnight. It's being thought through properly, and then we will do the right thing. But for now, let me let everybody know. I've suspended everything internally, administratively, and all of that. We are all out of the office. So most administrative conversations and decisions would be looked at after the
completion of it. And talking about it very, very finally, what is the ultimate objective, the ultimate goal of everything else that you're trying to do to turn this beast around?
The ultimate goal is to bring down ECG's commercial losses drastically. ECG needs to make sure that it is not bleeding money through certain areas that it shouldn't bleed. The digital process is almost complete. Everything should go through its right and proper channels. I must emphasize that the staff coming out are not to take cash from anybody. Please, customers, there are people calling you claiming to be ECG staff. They are not ECG staff. If the person calls you on phone because through some means they've managed to get your phone number from our office, please ask him for his staff ID. Verify the staff ID by using *226#. If he has even called you on phone, please ask for the staff ID. Please, whatever problems you have, do not send anybody money on a different normal phone network. There are people who've registered phone numbers under the name ECG cash payment point and are scamming unsuspecting customers. Please stick to the ECG office. They will take you through the process. Go onto the ECG app. It will be easy for you to pay for things. We do not accept cash anymore. You can pay by Momo. And please, Momo for service payment does not attract e-levy. Because that's one of the things. Oh, we will not use Momo. Please, it doesn't. Use Momo, use a bank card, or go onto it. They'll generate a paying slip for you. You can walk into the nearest bank and pay, and it will reflect on the ECG record. Once again, no ECG staff is supposed to call you, period. They are supposed to come to your house.
Yeah.
So all those receiving phone calls from people, they are not ECG staff.
Okay, thank you very much, Samuel the Big Mahama, and we wish you well.
Thank you. See
Enjoy
you
the
soon.
rest of your evening.
You too.